Hello everybody, welcome back to my TV review series. Today I'll be discussing Ozark Season 1. Just finished it up, give you my overall grade, some overall impressions, and then I'll again tell you about the spoiler alerts. So if you have not watched the show, I'm just going to give you my overall grade, and then tell you to shut off the video if you want to go watch it. And if you've already watched the show and want to see what I think about it and my breakdown, not exactly scene by scene, but pretty in-depth analysis of the plot. So we'll be discussing the plot synopsis, analysis, some talk about character development, and my thoughts on Season 2. So what is Ozark? Let's read the official overview. Again, hit show on Netflix. I got a Netflix subscription to watch this one. Where's the overview? Come on. It says, created by Bill Dubuque, the accountant, the judge. This drama series stars Jason Bateman as Marty Bird, a financial planner who relocates his family from Chicago to a summer resort community in the Ozarks. With wife Wendy and their 2 kids in tow, Marty is on the move after a money laundering scheme goes wrong, forcing him to pay off a substantial debt to a Mexican drug lord in order to keep his family safe. While the Bird's fate hangs in the balance, the dire circumstances force the fractured family to reconnect. So, overall grade, I am going to give it a B. I'll explain why throughout the analysis, but I think there's room for improvement. I really like the development of the plot, just meaning you have again the Bird family, they go down to the Ozarks, they meet another local kind of rough and tumble crew, the Langmores. There's an established criminal presence in the area, where are the other ones, the Snells, I don't have them up here. And he's being chased by a drug cartel as well. So there's again a lot of, like I said, I like well-placed violence. There's a lot of I like entertaining shows. And so there's just a lot of, and again, I talked about Justified, the TV show, the the hillbilly kind of criminal, that role kind of sticks well. I think it's typically played out pretty well. So I really like the plot, the characterization, just the development, some insecurity, and some just I want to say funny scenes, but just extremely predictable, overly insecure. So a little off-putting there, a little ding there, and just some points. Like Wendy, sometimes she's a little off. But just writing of the characterization is all right for me. Really like the plot, the scenery, the setting, the plot development. I think there's room for improvement. Another big ding for me on this one was a ton of low-light scenes, a ton of the show. I watch these shows to make content and to enjoy them, but I sit in an apartment with my windows open, and when I watch Ozark, I have to shut the blinds and make it as dark as possible, because you can't, literally probably 50% of the show is in low-light scenes. And so even, again, criminal element, ominous setting, but it doesn't have to be low-light every single fucking scene. So I thought the low light was slightly off-putting. Again, B is still heavily entertaining. I highly recommend, thoroughly enjoying it. We'll be looking forward to Season 2. But for me, that was just, again, the low light, it was just an act of thought to watch the show. It's oh gosh, are they going to turn the lights off again? Again, if you're getting tortured by a Mexican drug cartel, it's not like they're going to make sure it has to be in some dungy basement. Might be, but it just, again, I think it's overdone, the ominous of the lighting, of the actual cinematography or the filming of the show. So now, that's my overall rating, and I'm going to get into a detailed plot analysis. So turn off the video here if you have not watched the show and want to. And if you want to watch the show and continue listening to me talk about it, keep watching. So we open up the series with Marty's crew gets whacked for stealing $8 million, promises a new operation, his wife is cheating on him, and Gary gets thrown off a balcony. So you have Camino del Rio, kind of the head lieutenant guy from the cartel that Marty deals with. You get some background later on in, I think, episode 8, but basically Marty's partner Bruce and his girlfriend had been stealing money, so Del Rio calls him. They just call him Del throughout the show, so I'll call him Del. They call him in. Del calls a meeting and basically just kills Bruce's girlfriend, wife, kills Bruce. Has Marty's are you ready to die now, Marty? And then he's like, oh no, here's this Ozark Lake. We can go down there and I can launder a lot of money for you there. So open up with some violence. and then he gets let off to go down to the Ozarks to try to do a money laundering scheme to save his life and his family's life. And so this is again another the plot thing was a little iffy to me because, and I'll get to why, but the $8 million it's just not clear how the plot develops as to where this $8 million really goes, and so I'll get to that. Wendy says, "I could give a fuck." Again, I could not give a fuck. If you could give a fuck, or if you couldn't give a fuck, you wouldn't. But I could give a fuck. It's like the 10th show that said this wrong. Daughter goes on a stolen boat. Their money gets stolen. $3 million out of $8 million. Marty plans to suicide. So they get down to the Ozarks. They literally just have it in a bag. So basically, to pay back Dell, Bruce stole the money. So Marty had to clear out his actual savings and legal money, which is about $8 million, just under, to pay off the thing. Goes to give it to Dell, and Dell is like, prove to me you can launder it down at the Ozarks. So just keep the money, it's mine, but keep it and go launder and show me you can do so. And so it's a very important part for the plot not developing correctly for me, is that it's clean money, is when because he shuts down his business, the FBI is like, why do you want to withdraw this all in cash? But it's legal money at this point. And so that's when you meet the Langmores. I forget which one. Wyatt Langmore invites Charlotte, who's I think 15 or 16 in the show. Jonah's probably 12. And goes on a boat, and it's a stolen one. And she thought it was like their summer house or something. And he basically just gets thrown off the boat and picks up by the police and some problems there. Marty plans to suicide. Just again, if he kills himself, pays back the money, he thinks the cartel will leave his family alone. Denies everything to the FBI investigating Bruce. Ruth plots on Marty. Basically, Ruth Langmore, you have Russ Langmore, who's Ruth's uncle, Ruth, who's probably 18 or 19, Wyatt and 3 Langmore, who are 16 and 17 or 15 and 17. And then you have Boyd Langmore, who's Russ's brother. You have Cade Langmore, who's Ruth's father, in jail. And Cade, I guess, is a killer heavily feared by the Langmores, but he's in prison. And so Ruth plans to learn how to launder money from Marty and then kill him and steal his money. And so that leads to another kind of plot inconsistency for me. And Marty acts like he knows nothing. The FBI come to ask him about Bruce. Why did he shut down his business? Why did he relocate so fast? And just denies everything. Wendy helps a realtor. They invest in a marina restaurant, the Blue Cat. Marty wants the strip club safe. Jonah disembowels a wolf, gets the club's deed, and buys the titty bar for $175,000. The previous owner is killed and is left at Marty's dock. So he gets down there to launder money. You just mix real money with an actual business, inflate the cost, and then you get it. That's how you get the money into the banking system. So he's trying to buy businesses, invest in businesses to have a way to launder the money. Again, as a way of proof. Wendy helps a realtor. She's just kind of trying to get into businesses, trying to do something, trying to help. So she helps a realtor staging houses. The Blue Cat owner, I believe that is Rachel. I believe that's her. But it's another, 45-year-old woman running a marina, and she's the first one to let Marty invest. She lets him invest because he stands up for Tuck, who is mentally deficient, and he takes a punch to the face, and so Marty's allowed to invest. He tries to approach a strip club called Lickety Splits, but a titty bar as the owner. The previous owner was so aptly reminding Marty that it's called a titty bar and not a gentleman's club. But basically, he steals the safe and realizes that this guy is also laundering money, and all of it's he has to hold the actual physical stock certificate to show ownership of the business. So he steals that and then buys the club from him so he can launder money through the titty bar. Then the guy ends up getting killed by the Snells. I don't even have them up here because they're the established criminal presence. The Langmores are just kind of like opportunist criminals. It's the Snells operate all of the heroin trade, and so the Snells kill him because he fucked up. And so Jonah disembowels a wolf. They're kind of worried, is Jonah going to be a school shooter? But he's on the edge of is this genuine childhood curiosity about learning, or is this going to be a problem for the family? And the previous owner of Lickety Splits is left at Marty's dock. An armed robbery occurs. A guy gets himself shot. Gary's son comes asking questions about his suicide. Back in Chicago, Wendy was cheating on Marty, and he has a video of it. And his son comes asking Wendy about her, and she just kind of brushes him off, and nothing really happens with him. The armed robbery is like a throwback scene. You meet Pastor Mason. Basically, there's an armed robbery, and some guy goes in there as a pastor, like, please don't do this, gets shot in the chest, and lives, and it thinks it's like, God saving him. And his wife is like, no, the guy had a bad shot. The FBI agent makes a move on his fishing guide. So you have two FBI agents. I think it's Agent Mel, the main white one, and then Agent Trevor. Again, couldn't find the names on Google, but they're gay, so they're like ex-boyfriends. But the FBI agent's trying to get into, I think he's trying to pin down Marty, but just get like criminal activity. And so he asked Russ Langmore to be his fishing guide, and after a great day on the lake, makes a move on him, and Russ is like, what? Joe, I'm not a faggot. Get out of my car. I'm not a faggot. And then like 2 seconds later, he's knocking on the FBI agent's on the agent's door to get some big wiener. So Russ is undercover. He's not out and about being homosexual, but him and Agent Mel, I believe, start hooking up. Marty funds a church. So again, another money laundering scheme, and gets kidnapped. Learns that the church, the way that the Snells distribute their heroin is it's on a lake, so they have like a Pastor Mason preaches on the lake, and so they distribute their heroin through hymnals on the lake. So Marty funding a church, unbeknownst to Marty, is not a good thing, gets him kidnapped. And then it says, we need clean money to run. This is where it doesn't make sense. The money he took out of his bank is clean money. He told them they were going, the FBI, the law enforcement, that he was going down to the Ozarks to fund a normal business opportunity. So at the same time, they're like struggling to like launder $500K, and they're still supposed to have that $8 million cash if they needed to run. And then Marty says, we need clean money. You already have clean money. So that was kind of a big, just like thing stuck out. It doesn't make sense to me in terms of the plot development, unless he's at the very end of the money, at which point most of it's gone back through the businesses, and it's now in possession of Dell. So that's not clear to me. Is how is he struggling to find ways to launder the money, and at the same time needs clean money? Didn't make any sense. Ruth is going to electrocute Marty. Charlotte bangs Zach. So Ruth is literally just planning again to learn how to launder and then kill Marty, and so she plans to do that. Charlotte bangs some party goer who's probably over the age of 18, and she's probably under the age of 18, and there's some scene about that. She bangs him, and then tells her mom later, like at the very end of the scene, not in like a sad way, but just like, I've done stuff you don't even know about. And then Zach leaves, puts up his boat, and leaves after the summer. And this goes on over like the summertime. Wendy finds the sex tape that Marty's been watching of her banging Bruce. A cross at the church is bad news, loses $725,000, gets a new investor, and then that new investor gets hit by a truck. So someone put up a cross at the church, I forget who, but Marty had told the Snells that he would not be doing any further construction, and pays $725,000 for that problem, or whatever. And so I think that's like kind of like their last legal cash. Again, not exactly sure where this $8 million has gone at this point. They get a new investor. Basically, the mom of the realtor that Wendy is helping has like $907,000. They get that money to cover the loss or to have some sort of cash. Again, it's not, the economics of this show are not clear to me. And then she's literally walking on the street and having an argument with her son, flicks him off and gets hit by a truck and dies. You get some background on Marty and Bruce meeting Dell. Episode 8 is off-putting, and they cut a dude's eyes out, and the church is burned down. So you just get some background about them, Marty. I thought it was bad, again, plot development to have episode 8 for the background. I just did. But they basically get approached by Dell, and he's like, look at these problems in here. Can you find anything and help me with my money? Now to like 15 banks or financial advisors. Marty's the only one that found it. and it turned out his old financial advisor had been stealing from him, and that's kind of like the data that he had realized. So at the end of the episode, they killed the old money laundering dude, and they cut his eyes out. And again, you get some scenes about Wendy, and this the thing I did like about this crime show is the entire family knows what he's doing. Wendy knows the entire time. The kids are told in like episode 2 or 3 that is right when they get to the Ozarks that he's laundering money for a Mexican drug cartel. So I thought, again, the potential for the show, as opposed to like Breaking Bad where the family doesn't know, a much more believable dynamic of everybody in the family knowing what's going on. So, but episode 8 I did not like. And then someone burns the church down, and it was Pastor Mason. Jonah has Tucker buy him a strap. Again, Tucker's the mentally deficient person that got punched in the face, but he buys a gun for Jonah. And I'm saying it's not clear if it's 1 or 2 guns, but I think it's 2, but for sure 1. But you just get 2 scenes of it, so it's not sure if somebody else saw Tucker buying it or Tuck buying it, or if it was just buying another gun. But he gets a gun. He like shoots it a couple times. I don't know, just some sort of semi-automatic rifle. Shoots it a couple times in the woods and buries it in the backyard. And another great dynamic of this show. When they buy the house, they get it for a very cheap price because a guy named Buddy, the current owner of the house, who's like 85, has heart problems, and the contingency to buy the house is he's allowed to live in the basement until he dies. So again, just another, the plot potential here I thought was very, very well done. But Buddy's chilling in the basement, this old 85-year-old old-timer dude, and he sees Jonah shooting the gun. Jonah buries it loaded, and then Buddy comes in and unloads the gun and keeps it buried. Not exactly sure why he does that for a scene to coming up scene. Marty clears the $8 million. He also buys a funeral home. Russ fails to get Ruth's confession. Buddy finds and unloads Jonah's hidden gun. Just talk about that. So at season 9, episode 9, Marty's now done with the $8 million, drinking a whiskey, feeling good, but then realizes just, again, knows the whole time, but quickly comes to the realization with Wendy that that's just the first pack, and then they're going to have to, continue to do this until they're basically dead for the cartels. But for the funeral home, because the realtor Wendy's working with, his mom just got hit by a truck, so they go to a funeral home, and the guy is clearly upcharging her. Again, this is another one of those scenes where it's just clear what's coming next. Expensive prices, and the Wendy's like, realtor dude, can you leave the room? I have to talk to him. So again, just some of the writing seemed very kind of juvenile. I mean, not super off-putting, but the overall plot was very good. The actual characterization and development of the character was all right. But now because the financial funeral home is not doing well, Wendy buys it, and now they have another thing. So they have the strip club, the marina, a funeral home, maybe a couple real estate properties around. Again, I think Wendy buys one, and then maybe some more to come. But Russ fails to get Ruth's confession. Basically, after banging out a couple times with the FBI agent, the FBI gets a confession from Russ that he attempted to kill Marty with the electrocuting dock thing. And when Ruth plots to kill Marty, they plan on wiring his dock so when he steps on the dock, he gets electrocuted. But because again, the FBI agent's kind of conflicted because they are genuine lovers, but he's still an FBI agent, and so to get Russ to get Ruth, Ruth to get Marty, and they're really after Marty and Del Rio. So Russ tries to get Ruth to confess, and Ruth catches on as to what's going on. And then we talk about Buddy unloading Jonah's gun. Del re-ups Marty with a 50-pack, $50 million. The kids help him rap, LOL. So again, the whole time they're aware of what's going on, and a lot of these, like there's another scene where Rachel, the owner of the Blue Cat, she also becomes aware of what's going on, so there's again a lot of potential for shit to hit the fan in this show. But he gets $50 million to launder again, and to put it in the walls. I think he puts some in the Blue Cat walls and some in his home walls, but they literally have the kids, Charlotte's 15 and Jonah 12, rapping $50 million in the living room. So again, this way better family dynamic when they know. Ruth electrocutes Russ and Uncle as they try to slide on Marty. FBI does a desk pop at the bar. So Russ and I think Boyd, just the other uncle, they're planning to go kill Marty, steal his money, and just hit the road and run. And again, apparently not aware that he's already laundered the $8 million, but now I know it's $50 million and a lot more on the walls now. But when they go to do that, Ruth uses the electrocution trap on them. And so it's not clear to me when Ruth went from trying to kill Marty himself and stealing his money to killing her uncles and saving Marty. There's like an emotional scene, like Ruth's like, I didn't want them to kill you. It's like that was the whole plan, and at no point in the development of this character did she like change that sentiment, like not once. So it's not. That was kind of just a weird development for me. But they both get electrocuted and die, and then because the FBI agent, I think it's Agent Mel, is his star-crossed lover with Russ, he's upset. So he smashes his beer bottle over some guy's head at the bar, and then literally doesn't, like a desk pop in the other guy's Will Ferrell movie, but he literally just shoots into the TV. So very, very, it's pretty realistic, pretty realistic how disciplined FBI agents actually are. Tried to call the FBI 4 or 5 times yesterday. Like they still refuse to do their job to any capacity whatsoever. The preacher refuses to distribute drugs. Marty offers to buy the product load at $300K as the family flees. So the Snells want the preacher to go back on the water so they can continue to distribute their drugs. He gets up there, like actually there's boats around. He starts to try to preach, can't do it. It's against the word of God, and basically shuts down the sermon right there. And the threat from the Snells were his wife was pregnant. They were going to cut the baby out of the stomach. So they basically said, the Snells are like, oh, nope, you're all good, man. And then he goes back home, and the baby's fine on the counter, and the wife is nowhere to be seen. Implied that she got cut open, and the body gets dismembered and never seen again. Because there is a sheriff, but the sheriff is clearly got debts to the Snells as well. So Marty offers to buy the $300,000 worth of heroin, and has his family like just get in the car and drive away. And so we got to not that part yet. But the Snells, I'm pretty sure they refuse. I'm not exactly sure why. And then Marty develops another plan. But the family's just driving away at this point. Buddy, the basement old dude, whacks the Mexican hitter sitting on the house. So again, you have the Snells who would kill Marty. You have the Langmores that were going to kill Marty. We have literally a Mexican hitman, cartel hitman, sitting on your house watching your family the entire time. And if Marty fucks up, the cartel's gonna kill his whole family. So they're trying to act normal, like they're not about to run. And Jonah runs to get his gun that's hidden in the woods, and the Mexican dude sees that happening. So the Mexican dude comes in. Jonah's holding the gun, looks like he's pointing it at Charlotte and Wendy, and he's like, move. And they're kind of like, what's going on, Jonah? Are you going to shoot up the school or shoot me? And then it's the Mexican guy behind them. And so he sees the standoff. Wendy gives Jonah the go-ahead to shoot the guy that was going to shoot them. She pulls the trigger, click, Buddy had unloaded the weapon. And so now the Mexican hitman's like, oh gosh, you're about to shoot me. This is not going to go good for the Bird family. And then old man Buddy comes up with a double barrel and blows the fucking Mexican dude away. So again, another why did Buddy randomly unload Jonah's gun in the woods? But blows that dude away, and the family once again kind of just like, well, the family flees because of that. But the blue cat partner, Rachel, I believe, finds money in the wall and hits the road. She just finds some money in the wall, grabs, I don't know, $500,000 to $1 million, and just leaves. Dell appears at the Blue Cat, questions Rachel a little bit, and then goes to Marty's house. Finds Marty there. Buddy's like, hey Marty, do you need help with these Mexican guys again? And Marty's like, no, it's cool. So they torture Marty, like, where's the lieutenant guy? And Marty sustains the torture, endures the torture. He gets a couple toenails ripped off. And then he convinces Dell about another plan and introduces them to the Snells. So basically, the Snells own a bunch of land. They want to distribute their heroin. The cartel loses a bunch of money trying to transport heroin across the borders. So Marty arranges a deal where the cartel buys the Snells heroin and distributes it. So it's beneficial to both of them. They reach a deal, and then the Snells whack Dell for calling them rednecks. Basically, they reach a deal, it's planned out good, and you've already got the county records of the land, and you put a dam here, and it's a part of the Missouri River, and then you can't do this or that. And then right as they're walking out, Dell says to Marty, "Only Marty Bird can make me do a deal with a bunch of rednecks." And I forget the wife's name. I didn't even write him up here. But she's like, "What did you call me?" And then Dell slowly repeats himself. And then right when he gets the word rednecks, boom, head blown away. What is her name? Her name is Darlene Snell, and I think it's Jacob Snell is the main Snell. Yeah, Jacob is the patriarch. And Darlene certainly likes to catch some bodies. So then the FBI have a warrant for Del Rio's car. So basically, when Del was at the Blue Cat, agent Mel saw the license plate, got it down, they get a warrant for Del's car, they search it, but him and his muscle guy were just whacked 2 seconds ago, so it's just Marty in the car, and the local sheriff's like, if you can't produce the presence of the person, that's all the warrant is for, so you have to let him go. So they go back to the house, and then the family returns. Wendy, Charlotte, and Jonah, basically, they're given fake identities, potential to leave, and they're like, "No, we're going to do this as a family." So they come back, and Mason baptizes his son ominously. Again, heavily implied his wife was cut open. Not you don't see any gruesome scene there, but she's out of the picture. He's got the baby. He's driving along in the car seat. Throws the car seat, goes up to the water, throws the car seats away, then shoves his baby under the water, and you kind of think it's implied that he's drowning him, and then pulls him up, and it's like a baptism. So it's like you weren't sure if he's going to drown his son or baptize him. Both were in potential viewers 80% thinking drowning. So that's kind of where it leaves off. Again, I thought the plot development, the potential for the plot is very good. The characterization is a little off. The actual plot sequencing is a little off for me, but certainly entertaining. I'll definitely watch season 2. I think there's 4 seasons of this one. So entertaining. Some plot holes. Did not like how much low light setting there is. I think the violence is well placed here. It's all right. I think most of the plot development's pretty good. But again, I like the money launderer, the local crew that's rough and tough, the cartel presence, and then the established heroin dealers of the valley. So, again, with a lot of other supporting characters that I thought makes for an interesting plot. I like Jason Bateman. I think he's pretty good at stuff. I can't remember what I've seen him in before, but definitely recognize the face. So there you have it. I hope you've watched. If you've seen this part of this video, I'm sure you've watched Ozark Season 1. If you have not, I liked it. But I enjoyed it. Give it a B overall, and thank you for watching. See you next time.